Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Lincoln Riley, USC, Monday afternoon, make another addition to the staff heading into 2025. Joe DeRazio going to come to this USC program with the title of Director of Football Strategy. He's also going to work with the running backs. Now, I think a lot of USC fans are probably in the same situation I was when I saw this on my timeline. Director of Football Strategy, what does that mean? Diving into Joe DeRazio and looking at his background, what it sounds like this is going to mean and what it sounds like he is going to do for USC going into 2025 is be that analytics guy that a lot of programs are starting to use over the last couple of years. And what I mean by be the analytics guys, hey, you got a lot of decisions to make in a short amount of time during a duration of a football game. Hey, do we go for it? Do we punt it? What do we want to do with our timeouts? Joe DeRazio is going to be right behind Lincoln Riley. At least this is what my understanding is. And he's going to help Lincoln Riley make these decisions. Now, there's two things that really jump out to me about this. One, I really love it for specifically Lincoln Riley, because you look at Lincoln Riley and say, well, he's one of the best offensive play callers in the game, but he also happens to be your head coach. And so you want him to continue calling the plays. But when you have a head coach that is calling the plays on offense, sometimes you see head coaches struggle to manage a football game. And let's be fair, we saw that from Lincoln Riley at times during the 2024 year. Joe DeRazio is that guy that Lincoln Riley can turn around to on the sideline and say, hey, what are our options here? And what are the numbers telling us to do? Now, is Lincoln Riley going to listen to the analytics every single time? No, probably not. But having a guy that can kind of guide you into that decision-making process when the bullets are flying on a Saturday afternoon, specifically for a guy who's calling the plays on offense for his football team, I think this can be a massive asset. And then I look back at USC in the 2024 year. I think a lot of people from across the country look at USC and say, USC won 7-6 in 2024. Oh, that program's dead. The USC fans know this, and it doesn't make it any less frustrating, but it's just a fact here. I mean, you went 7-6. All six losses came within one score. The margin in terms of how close USC is from being a 9-3, 10-2 football team was really not that much. And so having a guy that can help you make decisions to maybe get that 1% better is certainly going to help. I mean, you go back in USC, this is coming from a Michigan fan here. USC should have won that football game in Ann Arbor in September. USC dominated the second half of that game. We're winning in the fourth quarter. We're winning pretty much the whole second half and just couldn't close it out. You could say the same thing for that Penn State game at home. You could say the same thing for Maryland, Minnesota. I mean, even you can make that argument against Notre Dame, a team that played for a national championship. That 7-6 record is really misleading. And you can tell Lincoln Riley and USC are trying to find that 1% to, excuse me, for lack of better terms, get them over the hump. This could be a hire that helps you do that. The second thing, and I think the most notable thing about this hire, is it continues to show me USC is taking all the right steps to really be a perennial national championship contender. Look, there are a lot of programs that will come out and say, we want to be a national championship contending team year in, year out. But there's a lot of programs that don't follow suit with their actions. USC 12 months ago was not operating like a national championship caliber football team. They were understaffed. They did not embrace NIL, and it was a problem. I think we all saw that within the last 2 months. And you look at a couple of different storylines. One, hiring a brand new front office, investing a ton of money into the front office, which is crucial in this era of college football. You also retain every single one of your coaching staffs that you wanted to retain outside of Matt Entz. I mean, Penn State was going after Dan Lynn. Miami was going after Doug Belk. I promise you LSU was going after Coach Henderson. You're keeping all those guys. All of a sudden, USC went from a program 12 months ago that was understaffed, not operating like a national championship caliber program, to right now in the middle of March or in early March saying, hey, we're doing all the right things and we're actually taking action to become that national championship caliber team. Now, does that mean it all comes together in 2025? I don't know. But at least you're taking the steps and laying the right foundation to be a team that can compete year in, year out for national championships. You're doing the work by your action. I think that's my biggest takeaway from this hire. Now, I want to get a little bit into Joe DeRazio's background, before we do it, as always, the USC fans, just want to say thank you to you guys. And I know this is not necessarily the biggest storyline that we've seen from USC in this offseason. Y'all know any chance I get to talk this program, I'm gonna. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. And without further ado, let's get into it. Now, I want to start with this. This is something I always use to evaluate coaching hires. All right, Joe DeRazio. Let me look at some other coaches that have hired you. Andy Reid, probably the best head coach in all of the NFL right now, Super Bowl champ. Doug Peterson, another head coach that has won a Super Bowl. And I believe Joe DeRazio was on staff with the Philadelphia Eagles when they won the Super Bowl. And so you look at it and say, well, Dave Aranda is another good example. Dave Aranda is a head coach you can maybe nitpick a little bit, but as just a pure football coach, and it was really just a pure organized human being and leader, I'm a huge fan of Dave Aranda. If all of these coaches wanted to hire a guy like Joe DeRazio, I feel great about bringing him in to this USC program. Then you dive into the background and say, all right, he's an analytics guy. All right, how good of an analytics guy is he? Well, he graduated from the University of Penn with an economics degree from the Wharton School. Now, I'm not a big academic economics guy, but my brother and my dad are. I text him, hey, the Wharton School at University of Penn, pretty good or not? And they said, yeah, it's one of the best in the country. And this guy's very good at what he does. And he's very bright. And so you're just continuing to stockpile guys within your program, whether it's off the field in the front office, whether it's on the football field, that are going to be really, really bright and provide value to this USC program. Where, again, 12, 24 months ago, you looked at not only the USC coaching staff in terms of on the field, guys like Alex Grinch, but you just looked at this USC program as a whole and said there was a ton of disorganization. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And now you're looking at it here and say, all right, we love the coaching staff, specifically on the defensive side of the football. We love the front office that they put together. And now we're just kind of putting some cherries on top with some other guys that are going to elevate this program. That's how you want it to look. That's national championship caliber. Again, that's my biggest takeaway from this offseason with USC is they are setting the foundation of what a national championship caliber football team looks like. Now, the other thing I want to add on to this episode is anytime Chad Bowden gets up and talks, I listen. I think I got a ton of respect for him. I thought it was a home run hire stealing him from Notre Dame. I want to talk about a few things that he noted. One, he's like, we're going to be as aggressive as anyone. That's a quote. As aggressive as anyone when it comes to NIL. That's how it should be at USC. I think we all agree on that. And I think that's why Chad Bowden came to USC, is he recognizes what USC can be in this modern era of college football. But secondly, and this is probably the most important part, because, look, I think a lot of blue blood top-tier college football programs are all going to be as aggressive as possible in NIL. That's nothing special. What he noted was myself, Chad Bowden, Lincoln Riley, Jen Cohen, we're all on the same page. That is not something you see a lot within college football. And especially you look at Lincoln Riley and USC 12 months ago. Talk about like disorganization, everybody pulling in different directions. That's all you saw at USC. Now you got your general manager, your AD, your head football coach, all seemingly pulling in the right direction and having kind of a common vision in terms of how we want this program to look. That's huge. The second thing, and you always talk to, every time I hear Chad Bowden talk about roster construction, California, recruiting the state. And what he said was, one, when I took this job at USC, I went back and said, hey, how did Pete Carroll do it at USC? You know, these were some of the most talented teams we've seen in college football. How did Pete Carroll put together these rosters? 80% California kids. And it's clear. You even see like the USC football Twitter page. They're pushing this narrative. And Chad Bowden is certainly behind it. Said, hey, if USC wants to get back to where we belong, we got to do a better job in the state of California. And what he said after that was something we've talked about for the last couple of weeks. This 2026 cycle in the state of California, it's one of the most talented we've seen in the last 2 decades. Those are Chad Bowden's words, not mine. I certainly agree. Everything you're hearing, and it's not the flashy stuff right now. It's just the laying the foundation, building it right. Everything you hear coming out of this USC program to me is elite stuff. And again, is it going to all come together in 2025? We will see. But if you're doing it right this way, where even with all the success Lincoln Riley had in his first year at USC, there were question marks about do we have the strong foundation? USC's building this thing back up the right way. And you can see it with these hires. You can see it with how Chad Bowden's talking. You can see it with how Lincoln Riley's operating. And a shout out to Jen Cohen, just allowing USC to do what they need to do to become that program that we all know they can be. We'll close it out there. Intriguing hire. Wanted to hop on and talk about the state of the program a little bit too. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.